Welcome to the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr. I am a transformational mindset and business coach and six-figure award-winning female entrepreneur. Ladies, I'm here to tell you that business and making money doesn't have to be hard when you're in alignment and flow. Inside this podcast, I will be showing you how to transform your mindset to program it for success, how to maximize your money vibrations, and how to redesign your business for ultimate financial and time freedom. You know you are meant to live an epic life. Now it's time to claim it. Hi ladies, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am so excited to be talking to you today. Christmas is on its way and I've just done a really great live with a friend. So I just felt really cool to obviously go into some of the stuff that I shared with her group actually. First of all, disclaimer, I am actually recording this on a different device, so apologies if the sound isn't as great as it usually is. Please bear with me because what I'm going to be sharing is going to be gold dust. So essentially, what I'm finding at the moment is a lot of women are really starting to think about next year. So we're going into 2022, and obviously that brings a certain element of expectation. At the start of every year, you always have these big, huge goals, but sometimes that can bring up excitement, but sometimes that can actually fill your heart with dread. So what I want to really help you with today is to get your mindset in a really great place when it comes to any of the beliefs that are currently not serving you, so that you can really move forward with those goals. So what I want to talk about is the bigger picture and vision that you have for next year. What does that look like for you? And where may you maybe not be thinking even big enough? So again, this is something that women, we typically struggle with. You know, we are very much ingrained from a really small age to not take up much space in the world, not want too much, be grateful for what we've got. You know, you're a mum, so you can't have a successful business as well. Like, don't take the mick. And we feel like it's always about having to choose between one thing and another. And actually, the reality is we don't. We're living in a time where there's never been a better time to be a woman, essentially. And you can have it all. If you don't want to clean your toilet, that's absolutely fine. There are ways to outsource that so that you can still have a clean toilet and a beautiful home, but you can also spend time with your kids, or you can also run a business or go to a spa or do any number of other things that isn't cleaning your toilet. So it's whatever goals you've set or whatever vision you have for where you want to be by this time next year, then first of all, I'd love to really invite you, just because, you know, I am a coach and this comes up a lot for my clients. They'll start with something super small. And when we really do the work and give ourselves permissions to dream bigger than we have done before, and really get vocal about those big, hairy, audacious, mortifying goals, then something entirely different can come up for us. So I'd love to do that super quick. Just get you to really think about it. Like, what does your dream life look like? If you were just absolutely taking the mick and wanting your cake and eat it, what would that look like? So that's where I'd love you to start. And then if you do get some resistance to that life, and whether it's even possible for you, whether that is, you know, who are you, if all of these little voices, and I love to call them the shitty committee, when that then turns up and you get that resistance to that goal, like, what is it that they're leading you to believe? What are they saying? So are they saying, well, you're not good enough? How, you know, how are you going to make that sort of money? Who's going to buy from you? I mean, first of all, there's always a solution to every problem. Never accept the first no. So I'm very keen, very passionate about, as women, like, we're super resourceful and we're super creative. So when we say we don't have money for something, when what we're actually saying to ourselves is that this is not a big enough priority for me right now to find the money for that thing. Because the reality is, if you actually needed to find the money and you really, really wanted to, you absolutely would. Like, I am queen of resourcefulness. When I really put my mind to something and I want to do something, I will always find the money by hook or by crook. And the downloads that come to me off the back of it sometimes make me absolutely laugh. I did this recently with a client, and we started with like 25 ways to make money, and they started like quite, you know, quite conservative, like, oh, I could sell this package, that package, to, you know, sell a few bits on eBay to I could sell a kidney, I could rent my driveway, like to the most ridiculous, I could rob a bank, like all of these things. So again, those practical elements that are coming up for you, that resistance, that is healthy, that's normal, but never underestimate your own personal power in finding a way. So if you wanted to start with that exercise and just thinking of 25 ways that you could make your goal happen, that will really help to lessen that resistance with your subconscious brain, because the more that it can see practically, this is why goal setting and action planning is so important. I know for some people it's not in their nature to really, they like to go with the flow and they like to just freestyle. That's absolutely fine. If that is your way, that is your way. But if you are somebody that finds comfort in actually, needing a plan and a path and everything else, then just doing that exercise and brainstorming for a second will really help lessen some of that resistance around those goals. But if actually it's a limiting belief that's coming up for you about you personally and your ability to make money, or to that people won't be drawn to you and these sorts of things, or that you're not confident enough, or you're not a confident person, whatever that may look like for you, this is really going to help you. So essentially what you need to be mindful of, like, really step back from the shitty committee and the voices and the emotions and the feelings, and look at that situation objectively. So if you've got a belief coming up that you're not good enough, step back and really lean into your superpower, which is self-awareness, and think, okay, what is this actually saying to me? Where is it coming from? What is the belief? It's that I'm not good enough. Okay, so where has that come up for me previously in life? Because if you don't deal with this work now, your thoughts affect your actions, and essentially then how far you can go in life. And that's a reality. So every action that you take has to be in alignment with the thoughts behind it. So if you're saying that you want to do something, I want to have a 10K month, but actually your beliefs in the background are that, oh, but if I do that, making money is going to be super hard. It means I'm going to have to take time away from the kids, or I'm not good enough to generate 10K. The reality is you're not going to take those inspired actions that will actually then lead you to that 10K month, which will then reconfirm the belief that you're not good enough. So it just becomes a really toxic cycle, and it's really important to get to the bottom of these beliefs as soon as possible. Like, don't let them run the show any longer than they already have. So the first thing to do is, obviously, when did that first come up for me? And I'd always invite women to do this through journaling, because a lot of the time we're very reactive, and it may be either one particular memory that will come up, but the reality is there's probably another 5 before that are actually more significant than that one thing. Because these big beliefs that we have around worthiness are typically ingrained in us from a very young age, and we might not be consciously even aware of necessarily the first memory that comes up, but once you start delving into that work, it will come to you naturally as your brain realizes that it's safe and that you are ready to start processing these emotions, these thoughts, these feelings, these memories. More and more will start coming to you, because your brain will never want to overload you. So this is why people that have trauma, a lot of the time they block it out, because their brain doesn't feel that it would do them a service for them to relive that moment or that memory. And equally, I don't want to encourage you to do that if it's super painful. But what I want you to do is obviously look back at it retrospectively as an adult, with a new perspective, as somebody that knows that, yes, it was awful and it was horrible and it was just the worst moment potentially where that belief was formed. You did survive it. And that's the thing that you need to be mindful of. Like, you have survived 100% of your worst days. By hook or by crook, you have got through it, and you have survived it. So let's give ourselves snaps, props, celebrate that fact alone. So yes, so what I would say is, obviously, go back to the first time that memory came up for you. And typically what happens is, it could be, oh, well, an ex-boyfriend said this and he told me I wasn't good enough. But that's not, like I said, that's not the case. There'll be a memory and a belief that was formed much earlier than that. All that he has done is reconfirmed something that is already in you, that belief that's already there. And that's why it can be so hurtful sometimes and so triggering when people say things to us, because there's a part of us that already believes that it's true. And I've had this recently where something came up for me and I was like, oh my God, like, why am I letting this person's opinion bother me? And it's, this person means nothing to me, even if it was an ex-partner, and I was like, I don't care what he thinks, like I know that it says more about him than it does about me, and and I went through that process. But obviously there was still a little bit of work to do, because what he had done was highlighted to me a belief that still lingered, of not being good enough and not being worthy and not being enough. So it really allowed me an opportunity. I looked at it with gratitude, actually, that I could then think, right, okay, well, this is still an area that I need to work on. And if I do, oh my God, how much better am I going to feel? Because it's obviously still lingering. So what I would say is try and get back to that first instance. And typically with women, bear in mind, first of all, if anybody has looked into the witch's wound, we have a lot of fears and phobias and worries and concerns and anxieties and limiting beliefs that are passed down through our genetics. And that is in an attempt to keep us safe. Because years ago, at every stage in history, women have been persecuted for speaking their truth and for being different and stepping into their power. We would have been burnt at the stakes as witches. So even if it's just, I want to go live on Instagram, that there could be something that relates back to, even if it's not a belief that you hold currently, it doesn't even belong to you. It's something that's just been passed down through your genetics, that when you step into your power as a woman and you speak your truth, that something negative will happen. So don't feel bad if that is what's coming up for you. I know a lot of the time we feel like we need to be Beyonce, boss babe, step into, like, just find this so effortless. That's a word I struggle with. Even if don't feel bad for not being Sasha Fierce right now. If that is coming up for you, don't have any guilt or shame around that. Just feel like, okay, that's a moment, something that I need to work on. So typically what would happen, like I said, for a lot of my clients, it will be they were in assembly as a child, and they wanted to sing or say something, put their hands up, and they were told to shut up and be quiet, or they did it and somebody laughed, or they wanted to talk to their parents, but their parents were really grumpy and they told them to be quiet, and children are meant to be seen and not heard. All of these things would have formed a belief that them trying to speak their truth leads to unsafe situations that has a negative consequence. So then how that will then continue to build is that, maybe in high school something happened, or somebody told them to shut up, or like I say, an ex-partner was really mean, and all of these things, all that will be doing is confirming the belief that you already had, and just like, aha, I told you we weren't good enough, I told you it wasn't safe to speak your truth, I told you this, I told you that, and your brain will never want to make you a liar. So I think it's about getting back to those first early memories of when this belief came up for you and what it symbolizes. And then obviously once you've got that, inner child healing is really, really important. So it's about looking at it with a new perspective, as I said earlier. It's about really leaning into that memory and thinking, okay, but what else was going on around me at the time? My parents told me to shut up. Was it because actually they were arguing, or it was a stressful time, or there was a lot else going on and perhaps I didn't choose my moment properly? Look at that situation and try and detach yourself from the emotion of it. I always think then it's about reprogramming those beliefs and replacing them with something that's more empowering. So look for evidence firstly to see if that is true. So as I said, women, we don't ever give ourselves enough credit for the things that we've survived and overcome and our resourceful natures. So every woman I've ever met, we've always got a story, we've always got a journey, we've always been through a lot of crap, to be quite honest. So if you're telling yourself, oh, I'm so helpless and I'm useless and I'm this and that, look back over everything that you have put up with, everything you've survived, everything you've dealt with. Is there actually evidence there? Is there actual evidence there to support that belief, or is it actually just you being really hard on yourself and it's absolutely rubbish? So look for evidence to see if it's true. Equally, if you're coming from a victim mindset in this, and apologies if that triggers anybody, because nobody wants to be labeled a victim, but bear in mind, a lot of the time we put ourselves in situations and we feel like we don't have the power to change it, but the reality is we do. But however, being in a victim mindset, there's a lot of community in that. That's why as British people, we love to all get together and moan about petrol prices and the weather and the government, because that brings us closer together. It shows us a mutual connection. So when you then think, actually, I don't mind the cold weather. I don't mind, petrol prices are what they are. Great, because then we're more likely to move towards electric cars. That will be better for the environment. When you then throw in an unpopular opinion, that sets you apart from the tribe. And obviously, these tap into our basic human needs. So, don't feel bad if you are coming from a place of victim mindset, because that's what you were conditioned to believe and to think. But it's about, okay, if you feel like, obviously I'm a single parent with 5 children, so I could certainly live in that space and feel that certain goals that I've got are out of reach for someone like me. However, what I'm going to do if I ever have those moments is look for evidence around me of people that have done it with 5 kids on their own and are achieving much bigger things than I have, or overcoming much more adversity than I am right now, because perspective is amazing. And that evidence base will really help, to set you straight, whether it's a belief or whether it's just an absolute load of rubbish. Hypnosis is something that I really encourage. Obviously, I am a hypnotherapist as well, so a hypnotherapy practitioner. So that's all about speaking to your subconscious brain directly, and when it's at a really suggestible state. So you're more inclined to hear it when you are then saying to yourself these more empowering statements. Because sometimes when we try and say affirmations, intuitively, straight away our default mode will be to reject it, because our subconscious brain will be like, well, that's a load of rubbish. And this is why people find it so difficult with manifestation a lot of the time, because they aren't in that place of abundance yet, and their conscious brain is continually reminding them about that fact. So hypnosis will allow to just get out of your own way a little bit and get to your subconscious brain when it's at a more suggestible state, where it's more inclined to listen to what it is that you're telling it. So you can get those from YouTube. Obviously, I've got some on my page, and you can work with a professional, but that is a really great way to really get to the heart of those deep-seated limiting beliefs. Flipping the script is a really great one that I love to do. So whenever something comes up for me, and I really encourage my clients to do this too, is literally get a piece of paper, fold it down the middle. On one half of the paper, write down all of the limiting beliefs that are currently not serving you. So it could be, oh my God, there's loads of people doing what I do at the moment. No one's going to buy from me. Change that, flip the script on that belief, and on the opposite side of the page, write, oh my God, there is so much demand and so many clients for what I want to do, that there's so many people doing it. Amazing. They're just showing me that there is money to be made in what it is that I'm trying to do. So change that to something more positive, something more empowering, and then use that as your daily affirmation. So everything you've written on the positive side, that is now going to be your daily affirmations. So like I said, it's a bit like having a diet. Rather than believing that you're just going to wake up and it's just based on sheer willpower alone, and that you're suddenly going to become Sasha Fierce and more empowered, we need to make space for those more empowering thoughts. And that is by sorry, kind of reverse there, actually, that was a little bit around the houses. But basically, when you're on a diet, rather than thinking, right, I'm going to starve myself, I'm never going to eat cake again, I'm never going to have any of the good things that bring me joy, what you want to do instead is take out the majority of the bad stuff by filling your plate with all of the good stuff, so that there is no room left for the bad stuff. So fill yourself up with so much goodness that there's hardly any space left, and there's no container, there's no energetic space for any of the bad stuff, because you're already full up with the good stuff. And that's essentially what we want to do. And that's why affirmations are so positive. There's power in the repetition, there's power in your own voice to your subconscious brain. So speaking out loud, it is always listening. This is why when you're telling yourself and others, oh my God, I'm so rubbish at this, oh my God, I'm so useless with money, oh my God, I'm so this, I'm so that, your subconscious brain is listening, and it's trying to provide evidence to confirm that you are true and you are right. So the more that you can instead say, oh my God, I'm amazing, your subconscious brain will be like, yes, you go, girl, remember that one time and you did that amazing thing. And it will really get on board with these affirmations, and it will really enable you to start to embody a person who believes like that. So guess what, you're going to take the actions of a person that believes in themselves, and then you're going to get the results of the person that believes in themselves, which will then reconfirm the belief that you are worthy and deserving, and a person that believes in themselves. I would always say as well, just creating capacity for your goals. So another really practical thing, a lot of the time when it comes to women, we really try and add more and more to our plates. So if you've got a goal for next year that is absolutely huge, and then you're getting like halfway through January and you're not fitting it in, so even if it is just something like going to the gym, have you actually created space for the new actions that it takes to achieve that goal? Or are you just expecting yourself to do it on top of everything else that you've got? Because as I always say, ladies, we are not Whitney Houston. We don't need to be every woman. We don't need to do everything. So if you're now setting this expectation that I am going to lose 10 stone in the first month in January, but you're not giving yourself any time to go to the gym, or, you know, look after yourself or meal prep or do any of the practical things, how are you really expecting yourself? You're not really setting yourself up for success. So it's about that great capacity for your new goals. If you want to earn more money in your business, well, are you currently being bogged down in your business by doing loads of tasks that aren't generating you any money, but they're getting you so busy and drained that you can't do any of the things that are going to make you money? Have you actually created space and capacity for more clients in your diary, or are you just expecting to do them on top of everybody else? Because energetically you will be resisting that, because it's not in alignment with actually anything in your life. So I would definitely, that would be my final takeaway, is about creating capacity for your new goals so that you don't self-sabotage and set yourself up for failure. And then finally, it is literally just about surrounding yourself with positivity. So this is why I have created the Wealth and Wonder Fempreneurs Academy, and why I've collaborated with my very great business bestie, Sarah Smile-Scott, who's obviously a social media strategist. It's because I wanted more capacity in my life. I wanted more impact, but equally, I wanted to do it in a really fun way. So for me, obviously a collaboration with somebody else, it's a no-brainer. Somebody that I'm aligned to, no-brainer, tick, tick. Somebody that's on the same mission as me, absolutely, tick, tick. But it's also about enabling me to be supported in my journey, surrounding myself with positive, like creative, ambitious women like me that want the same things, that are doing the same things, and have somebody celebrate me every now and again when I do hit these mini goals, when I do have these incredible milestones. Well, you know, at the moment this week, actually, I am on the cover of Female CEO magazine, and it's something I talk about a lot, is about this movement that I'm trying to create within the academy, where women truly support each other so that we can lift each other up and get the same level of success that men do. You know, men love to network. Men, we always hear references to old boys clubs, where they all send clients to each other. Women, we need to do that too, because our set of things, that challenges, I would say, but not really, because we're not disadvantaged, but we are in some ways and in other ways not. But it's like we've got so much to get past in terms of societal conditioning, ancestral wounds to heal, as well as, you know, childcare and practical issues as well, that we might also, and society's judgment and opinions and other women's judgments as to what we should be doing as a mother and as a businesswoman, and you know, how we do all the things. A lot of people have a lot of things to say when it comes to women in business. So the more that we can do to surround ourselves, getting rid of all of that, you know, not making room for any of that negativity by surrounding ourselves and filling ourselves up with good things, like limiting beliefs. It's how you do one thing is how you do everything. So that is super important to me. So that is what the academy is for me. And I'd love to invite anybody listening today to come and join us, because it is about surrounding yourself with constant positivity, but also just having a safe space. If you are having a bad day, have a rant, have a vent, have a moment, but then move on. Don't let that moment, that failure, that setback, that challenge define you. It's about, you know, it's not about how many times you get, how hard, what is the word, how many times you get hit. It's about how many times you get up. And I truly believe that as women, we are so adaptable, flexible, resourceful. We're fucking amazing. And it's about being reminded of that. And if you're not currently getting that support and community in your current circle at home, if your partner isn't on the same journey as you as a business owner, if your family aren't on the same journey as you in terms of mindset and awakening, and you know, your friends aren't necessarily business owners, then that community is super important. So when you get those moments of self-doubt, there'll be somebody else in that community that's actually already doing what you want to do. So they are showing you what's possible. And that is, again, like my biggest game changer, I think, for any women in business. It is about surrounding yourself with other women that are on the same journey to help lift you up. So I hope you found that super useful today. It's just a bit of a download from me. If you've got any questions or you want to take this work any further, then obviously, I do have coaching services as well. And we also have the Academy. We'd absolutely love you to join us in there. But let me know what was your biggest takeaway. Let me know if you're going to try any of the tips that I shared. And I hope you have an absolutely incredible day. And ladies, there has never been a better time to be a woman. The world needs you to be wealthy. So really dream big next year. And I cannot wait to hear what your goals are. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode. It's been amazing to share this time with you, and I feel honoured to be part of your journey. If you've loved what you've heard, had an aha moment, or found value in this episode, then please do like, comment and share. I would love to connect with you on Instagram and Facebook, so come and find me, and I look forward to helping you build your epic life.